Welcome to Nara, and this is Horyuji, one of the oldest temples here in Japan. Once it was one of the 7 powerful great temples. Now this temple was founded by a Prince Shotoku back in the year 607 AD. But according to written chronicles, it was burned down by lightning shortly after that in the year 670. However, the main hall was reconstructed at least 1,300 years ago. The main hall is considered the oldest standing wooden structure in the world. Now, along with the nearby temple, Horyuji Temple was registered in 1993 as Japan's first UNESCO World Heritage. So let's take a look at this beautiful old temple, Horyuji.
The main approach to Horyuji is lined with majestic pine trees. Passing through the main gate, we enter the temple's extensive grounds. The temple is divided into 2 main areas. One of them is the Western Precinct, which is centered around 2 fine examples of 7th century Buddhist architecture. This gate is the entrance to the Western Precinct, which actually contains 2 entrances and are said to reflect the way the buildings inside are positioned. It is flanked by 2 fierce guardian deities who have protected the temple for more than 1,000 years. Inside are fine examples of early Buddhist architecture. The 2 main structures stand side by side, something unique for this time. The 5-storied pagoda is the oldest of its type in Japan. Inside are a series of 4 tableaux representing famous scenes from Buddha's life with clay figures, which we'll see close up later on. The Western Precinct is enclosed by a covered corridor, creating a huge cloister, similar to those seen in European monastery designs. At 2 corners are a bell tower and a structure to store sutras. Opposite the gate is the Great Lecture Hall, a single-storied building used by priests as a place to study. Among its notable statues are a Yakushi Nyorai, which we'll see later on. Behind is the inner sanctuary, a prayer hall which only opens at certain times of the year. The other main structure in the Western Precinct is the Kondo, or main hall. It contains a seated statue of Buddha in the likeness of Prince Shotoku, a seated statue of the Buddha of healing and medicine, a statue of Amida Nyorai, among others, and elaborate paintings depicting scenes of the Pure Land.
This main hall was originally built in the year 607 when this temple was first established. However, the original buildings were burnt down due to a lightning strike, and then the buildings were rebuilt in the year 670. However, some of the original wood from 607 has been used in the reconstruction of this building. They've done some chemical tests on it, and then they've dated it all the way back to 607. So this building is, believe it or not, more than 1,400 years old.
Leaving the Western Precinct and turning left brings us to a temple dedicated for the worship of Prince Shotoku. Behind it are living quarters for priests that date back to the 8th century. This storehouse has raised floors which protect the stored items from Japan's moist climate. The treasure gallery houses many important artifacts, some of which we'll see later in this video. A wide path links the temple's 2 main parts. It is lined with old mud walls that the temple preserves using various methods. This path brings us to the Eastern Precinct, the 2nd main area of Horyuji Temple.
I'm now in the Eastern Precincts of Horyuji Temple. This is where Prince Shotoku is said to have had his palace originally. behind me is the Yumedono, or the Hall of Dreams, which was built here, and it has lots of very interesting things inside.
The Hall of Dreams, or Visions, an octagonal-shaped structure, is one of the temple's most impressive buildings. Commissioned in 739 as a monument to Prince Shotoku, its name derives from a legend that a golden Buddha once appeared to the prince in a dream. The Eastern Precinct also contains a repository to originally store artifacts related to Prince Shotoku. This lecture hall is believed to be the only existing example of 7th century residential architecture. The bell house is constructed in a trapezoidal form. I preceded my visit to Horyuji with a look at a special exhibition of the temple's historical artifacts at the Nara National Museum.
Here at the Nara National Museum of Art, a wonderful exhibition is now taking place on Horyuji Temple and its founder, Prince Shotoku. It commemorates, believe it or not, the 1,400th year since his passing. Many of the items from Horyuji were donated to the national government and are now kept up in Tokyo at the National Museum there up in Ueno Park. This now is the first time in 27 years for a lot of those national treasures and important cultural properties to be returned here to Nara, where Horyuji is. And it's wonderful to see all these important relics that date back more than a millennium here on display at this wonderful exhibition.
Due to reduced finances in the past, the temple donated many of its treasures for museum display. This exhibition contains many of them, such as this multi-paneled painting depicting Prince Shotoku's life. Among the numerous artifacts on display are a seated Amida Nyorai flanked by 2 attendants. It's a rare opportunity to see these and other fine ancient Buddhist statues in a well-lit gallery without view-obstructing glass. This is a seated portrait of Gyoshin, the priest who commissioned the Hall of Visions. This is the famous seated statue of Prince Shotoku. Hidden inside are sutras and a statue of a standing Kannon Bodhisattva. Another sculpture of note is an exquisite seated Kannon in a half-lotus pose. And the final gallery consists of the invaluable treasures such as the impressive Shitenno, one of the 4 heavenly kings, a seated Yakushi bronze statue from the main hall, and 6 standing Kannon statues, all from the interiors of the 5-storied pagoda and Kondo main hall. Along one wall, you'll find a selection of the clay figures from the scenes depicting Buddha's life on the pagoda's 1st floor. Their expressions and realness are truly incredible. And next to the other imposing Komokuten Shitenno Heavenly King is a miniature shrine said to have been built in the mid-7th century. Its panels contain paintings on Buddhist themes that show a Chinese influence and are the only examples of Buddhist painting from the time. This special exhibition is up through June 20th, 2021. Online reservations are required to limit the number of people. The museum within Nara Deer Park is near both Kintetsu and JR Nara stations. Horyuji Temple is located in Ikaruga, a rural area about 15 minutes southwest of Nara City by train. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you like its contents, please subscribe to my channel and come back for more videos to help you plan your post-COVID-19 travel to Kansai, the core of Japan's history and culture.